Lesson 2-9, Weighted Averages. The sum of the product of the number of units and the value per unit divided by the sum of the number of units. So let's look at this again. The sum, so subtraction, of the product of the number of units, so the product of the number of units multiplied, and the value per unit is divided by the sum, which is subtraction, of the number of units. So we're going to take a look at a few examples of these and kind of walk through steps. You're also going to see some examples of mixture problems. Mixture problems are problems which two or more parts are combined into a whole. So we're going to be combining things like flour, or pieces of certain things, juices, teas, things like that. So here's an example of a mixture problem. It says how many pounds of premium coffee bags should be mixed with 2 bags of Supreme coffee to make the blend coffee. So we know that 1 bag of premium coffee is $9.50. They want to know how many pounds of that bag you would need, so let's replace that with the variable P. So the price times the number of pounds, and then it says should be mixed. Well, mixed is usually adding 2 bags of Supreme coffee. Well, we know that the Supreme coffee is $11.75, and we're going to have 2 bags of it, assuming that 1 bag is a pound, and that needs to equal the blend coffee. Well, a blended coffee is a blend between the Supreme and the Premium. So that would mean that you would take the price of the blend and you're going to multiply it by how many ever bags you have of the Premium plus 2 of what you have of the Supreme. So now you begin to solve. You do, you subtract 950p from both sides, and this should have been simplified, sorry, to distributing. So you subtract 950p, and we are left with 1175 times 2 equals 0.5p plus 20. You solve the 1175 side. 1175 times 2 would be 23.5 equals 0.5p plus 20. You subtract 20 from both sides, and you are left with 3.5 equals 0.5p. Divide both sides by 0.5, and that means that p is 7. So I want to know how many pounds of premium coffee. Well, P represents the pounds of premium coffee, so you would say 7 pounds. There's also some problems that are called uniform motion or rate problems, and these are problems in which an object moves at a certain speed or rate, but you end up comparing 2 rates or 2 speeds. So you first have to calculate the speed or the rate, and then you have to figure out how they're compared. So the formula we have for rate is rate equals distance divided by the time. So let's take a look at this example. Austin jogged 2.5 miles in 16 minutes. So 2.5 miles is the distance, and 16 minutes is the time. So we can figure out the first rate, which is 0.15625 miles per minute. And then he walked 1 mile in 10 minutes. So the distance divided by time. And so the rate here would be 0.1 miles per minute. So now you go into figuring out how to calculate the average speed. because we cannot just combine these speeds together and find the average like we normally would, add them together and divide by 2, that doesn't work when we have things with weighted rates. By weighted, I mean that these numbers are different. So what we need to do is we need to take the rate for the jogging, which is 0.15625, and you're going to multiply it by the time in which they jogged, so 16 minutes. You're going to add that to the rate of the walker times the time that they walked, and you're going to divide the whole thing by just the time, so the 16 plus the 10. And if we do that, kind of a simplified version of that is 2.5 plus 1 over 26. 2.5 plus 1 is 3.5. 3.5 divided by 26 is 0.13 miles per minute. So you would be able to say that that is your average speed. Now, the reason we are doing the rate times the time plus the rate times the time and then dividing by the time is because that top half is your true distance of each number. So you have to find the distance and divide it by your total time. So your total distances divided by your total times. The best way to learn this unit is just to get quite a bit of practice. So pause the video to complete the example below. We're going to make this the lesson review. So if you're struggling with this question or you need some help, feel free to bring it to me and ask. And as you work through some of the examples and the practice problems, hopefully this becomes a little bit easier for you to visualize and see what they're trying to find.